3 days have passed since the tragedy in Boulder. Today, some people finally got their cars back and shared their stories of survival.
I was just worried about flying bullets. I didn't know what was happening. So, it was like, just get down, just get down.
All of this on the same day the suspected gunman made his first court appearance in a wheelchair and a mask. His defense team indicating they're prepared for a long trial.
And we will update you on the court proceedings during this newscast. We must begin by talking about the people who matter most, the victims. We learned today that the handcuffs of fallen officer Eric Talley, handcuffs seen here, were used to formally arrest the gunman. Boulder police called the gesture a small one. The department wrote on Twitter, "We hope this is the start of the healing process that so many of us need."
And this is another sign of the healing process. The King Soopers parking lot is starting to empty out. Dozens of cars have been stuck there since the shooting as police continue to process the crime scene.
The people who came to get their cars are workers, customers, our neighbors. Many were in the store or in the immediate area at the time of the shooting.
All you could do was just listen to him kill everybody you know. You have no idea what's happening, who's okay, who's not okay. And just trying to focus for me and focusing on my breath, but counting my fingers, anything that you can do to just not let it engulf you to the point where you just don't feel like you're going to survive.
And over again, we've heard these stories of quick thinking under fire.
One woman found herself hiding in a storage cabinet to avoid the rampage. Denver7's Jason Grenauer has her story.
Darcy Lopez was working inside that King Soopers at the cheese counter. She was slicing and wrapping cheese, getting ready to clock out for the day, when she heard what she immediately knew was gunfire.
That was a lot of shots. I thought there were like 5 shooters.
Lopez and her coworker hid behind the cheese counter. She tried to crawl inside a storage cabinet to wait out the gunfire.
And I was just worried about flying bullets. I didn't know what was happening. So, it was like, just get down, just get down.
She told ABC News about what was going through her mind.
At that point, we were just waiting for a gunman to come around the corner and end it and shoot us. I just said to myself, if this is the world that I live in, just take me. I was just ready to die.
SWAT officers eventually arrested the suspect. Lopez made it out unharmed, only to learn that her friends and coworkers were among the victims. She says she relives what happened every night.
And now I wake up every night to, gunshots, and I can't sleep.
Through all this, Lopez says her message is for every person to go out every day and do something kind because, quote, that's the only way to end this. I'm Jason Grenauer, Denver7.
And tonight, Fairview High School will host a vigil for the victims of Monday's shooting. The youngest, Denny Stong, graduated from Fairview 2 years ago.
And this vigil is about providing the community a place to come together, to grieve, to find support. But this is also about change. Moms Demand Action, which started in the wake of the Parkland school shooting, is sponsoring this event. They're known for their support of gun safety laws. Boulder group leader Nicole LeBroton says mass shootings cannot become part of the normal that we return to as we come out of the pandemic.
I will never accept that this is normal. If we are not trying everything, then we're accepting this. I can't tell you how many people in my life that are deeply, deeply affected by multiple mass shootings.
President Biden was asked directly about new gun legislation today, and here's a portion of his answer which wound up being about infrastructure.
It's a matter of timing. As you've all observed, successful presidents, better than me, have been successful in large part because they know how to time what they're doing. The next major initiative is to rebuild the infrastructure, both physical and technological infrastructure of this country.
Now, there are victims' families that are flatly saying to keep their names out of the gun control debate. Now, Homer Talley, whose son, Officer Eric Talley, died in the shooting, told TMZ, quote, "My son would have been deeply offended to know his death would be used to promote gun control." He says before he was an officer, he enjoyed shooting. And while the gun control issue has divided a lot of people, there is broad agreement that there is a mental health crisis that must be addressed.
And the question is how? We asked Boulder Mayor about that on Denver7 News this morning.
One of the key gaps that we have is the stigma that we attach to folks who are exhibiting challenges with mental health. We use words that are demeaning sometimes, and we don't identify them soon enough. And so in cases like the suspect in the shooting at King Soopers, there may have been signs that could have been noticed, and if they could have been linked to a gun purchase registry.
And during that same interview, Mayor Weaver expressed his support for gun control. He said assault weapon sales need to be restricted.
The city had a ban on the books for about 2 years, but it was not enforced. 2 weeks ago, that ban was overturned by a Boulder County District Court judge. He said the Boulder ordinance ran counter to state law. The suspect's mental health is likely to be a key point as he works his way through Colorado's court system. He made his first appearance in court today to hear 10 formal charges of murder.
Denver7's Liz Gilardi spoke to legal experts who, Liz, they say victims need to brace for a long legal battle.
Well, unfortunately, as you know, we've seen this play out in Colorado before, a mass shooting where the suspect's mental health is called into question, like the Aurora Theater shooter and the attack on Planned Parenthood in El Paso County, where that suspect was found not competent to stand trial. And legal experts we talked to today said this could be another long road. An image of a suspect being led out of King Soopers with a bloody leg, and a very different image in court this morning when that suspect was brought into the courtroom in a wheelchair.
I think that first appearance is always the one that you worry about as a prosecutor, as being the image that sticks in the minds of potential jurors down the road, but I didn't see anything that caused me any concern.
George Brockler is a former district attorney, and he prosecuted the Aurora Theater shooter. Like many Coloradans, he watched the hearing this morning and thought about the long list of tragedies in our state. Brockler says anytime someone's mental health is called into question, as we've seen in other cases, it causes a delay.
That guy at the Aurora Theater, he was mentally ill, but there is a giant Grand Canyon gap between mentally ill and legally insane. And I think that's some of what we're going to explore in this case as well.
The suspect, Ahmad Al-Aliwi Alisa, only said yes after being asked if he understood his rights. His defense attorney, a public defender, asked for a mental health evaluation.
These kinds of incidents are virtually always the product of severe mental illness.
David Lane is a defense attorney who has represented people accused of mass shootings. He said asking for a mental health evaluation is typical in this kind of case, and the only defense in a case like this would be not guilty by reason of insanity.
There are a number of people who have very serious mental illnesses that will never achieve the level necessary for an insanity defense.
The district attorney also expects to file additional charges in the coming weeks, but did not elaborate. Outside the court, he made this promise to the community.
And I can promise you every step of the way we are going to fight incredibly hard to secure the right outcome in this case.
A promise to the community tonight, and as you're seeing, that community has been out here all day. I mean, we continue to be amazed. This memorial is ever growing, and just so many people lined up, hugging, maybe just having a quiet moment, walking up with flowers. Definitely the community here in Boulder, just coming together at this time. Reporting live was Gilardi, Denver7.
All right, Liz, thank you. So let's turn our focus back to the victims now. If you'd like to help those impacted by the shooting, these volunteers want to hear from you.
They are standing by to take your donations to the Colorado Healing Fund, a fund established in 2018 specifically to support victims of mass tragedies in Colorado, both with immediate and long-term needs.
We know that recovery is a very long process, and people need emotional support. They need mental health counseling. They may not know today what their needs are. They may not even be able to identify them in the numbness of the situation. So we will be there when they need us.
To donate, call 303-777-7492 before 6:30 tonight. And Denver7 Gives is matching the first $5,000 you donate. And if you don't want to call, well, you can donate anytime at coloradohealingfund.org.
We have another cold front on the way, and it will bring some snow back to Denver.
Plus, a flight makes an emergency stop in Denver after someone tried to open the exit door.
And buyer beware. Contact Denver7 talked to a homeowner who says she's on the hook for $10,000 and she's blaming her HOA.
I don't know what I'm going to do, and I don't know if my insurance is going to cover it or not.